Today we're working on a modern building, and what we're doing is, this is just the back side of the garage, but we're taking off a couple of these concrete panels. I think they're called James Hardy panels, and we're gonna replace the plywood behind them because it's all rotted behind it. It's pretty important for us to do this in a way that it doesn't damage the concrete, because we don't want to have to replace the concrete. Now we're just doing repair work here today, so this really is modern siding repair, but you know, there's a lot of discoloration on the plywood. Some of it's gone rotten. So we know we have at least 4 sheets we've got to change over here. The hardest part of the modern building is really just the siding, because they don't really make a great siding, or not something that's super nice when it comes to modern buildings. First thing to do is remove the panel. So let's get the panels off and we'll see how bad it is. I never know what I'm gonna bring you guys whenever I do a video, because the projects vary so much. We always find a surprise, right? Now, in this case, we were digging for the last couple minutes here, and we thought, oh, maybe the panel's just in about 1 inch or 2 so they can hide the seam. You don't see it. Nice transition. Sure, whatever. Maybe the leaves decayed over time, and then, covered up the bottom of the panel or something like that, right? But then we realized, no, they backfilled on top of the concrete panel. Now, the reason why that doesn't work is because concrete panels are not meant to be buried. This wrap, that's not meant to be buried either. And now the joints are gonna let water through, yada, yada, yada. You get rot on the back, though, on the other side of the wood. Now, the question is, what do we do now? Do we dig this entire thing all the way through, expose the panels? How do we keep the ground from having to touch the panel? Do we fill it with rock? What do we do? So I just ran out and grabbed some material, and I'm finally back here to look at the progress. And well, it looks like the hole was dug really well, but the problem now is not really the hole, it's how bad the actual sheeting is. So, I mean, that's, oh, I don't know if that's even sheeting anymore. It's really just dirt. You can see the roots are growing up into the building. So that is why you don't bury those concrete or those fiber cement panels, because they can withstand some, but will never withstand everything. So this is all just rotted away. So we're gonna change all the plywood out. It's actually surprised me how bad it really is, but at least now we can fix it. Now that we've gotten the studs all cleaned up, everything's ready to go. I took out this corner because it was all rotten. So there's no framing there anymore. The header is just floating. Well, it's actually supported by that, but it's just floating right now. There's actually roots coming through the stones there. Well, not stones, what am I saying? There's roots coming through the blocks there. This is what it looks like now. So we have all our 2x6s ready to go for the wall. And what we're gonna do here is, well, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut all the studs at the bottom to cut all the nails out. Then I'm going to remove that bottom plate, the double bottom plate. I'm going to completely remove it and replace it with some new 2x6s. Actually, they're 16-footers. They're right there. But I'm going to sawzall all of them off and then interlock them over here. But the first step is to remove them. So let's do that first. We're at the point where we have removed the bottom plate, the double bottom plate, and we've staggered it here because the pressure treat actually looks still okay, but everything else kind of looks, it's dry, so we're good to go. The next thing I did is I cut a little step there so I didn't put the two directly on each other, because I don't like to line up my joints. I like to stagger them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double bottom plate in pressure treated. And I'm fully aware for the haters out there that's like, oh, you're not supposed to use pressure treated in a building unless it's for the bottom plate, just the single bottom plate. But in this case, we have so much water coming here, it's gonna rot anyways. I know it's like a fire hazard situation, but in this case, no one's gonna, live inside the garage, so I'm not too worried about it. So next step is to get the bottom plate in. I just got the bottom plate in, well, the double bottom plate in. So now what I'm gonna do is remove my bracing. And so what these right here, these 2x12s are, they're just pushing up and carrying the load, because I thought the load would be carried with this LVL header here, but I guess the framing's not super stiff, so I thought this triple would carry it, and then it would go into the LVL, and the LVL would support the wall, but it didn't carry it, and we started getting a little bit of drop. So I jacked it up with these 2x12s and just banged them into place, and that gave us a little bit of space to be able to maneuver the bottom plates. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop these down, because I have to now rebuild my corner, and I wanna know what the exact final height's gonna be. So I gotta put a piece of lumber in here to take up that space we took out, because that was kind of rotted. So that's gonna get replaced, and then I'm gonna drop out these 2x12s. Once they're dropped down, I'm gonna space this one 16 on center, and I'm just gonna space these all the way they gotta go. And then I can sister up next to them so that I can actually hold the sheeting on the outside, because only the front of these are rotten from the dirt, obviously. Look at that dirt. That crazy that was used to be sitting up against the building. Huh. So first thing I'm gonna do is put that piece in and then knock out these 2x12s. Now that everything's in and solid and ready to go, the next thing I wanna do is sister up these studs. And when I'm using these pressure treated 2x6s, obviously they're new, so they're still a lot fatter than the other ones, so that'll eventually shrink. You know, what are you gonna do? You gotta like play with it when we go. So I got a couple of these in, and we're just putting them in to like take up that rot that's at the bottom, just to get rid of it, give us something to nail our plywood to. So that's how I'm laying it out now. We got these down here. I'm just gonna install them while I fix the corner, because now I gotta rebuild the corner, because now we ain't got no corner. So my job's gonna be rebuilding the corner. I'm just gonna be sistering up all the studs. So let's get to it. Let's get it done, because we have a lot of work to do today, because this is our last day here for a while. We have other jobs to do. All right, now that we've gotten the sisters all put in, everything's done. The corner's nicely done too. That's ready to go. I still got to put bracing in here, bracing in there, but that can still come. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start hanging our plywood. And I made a mark, I don't know if you can see that, like a little blue line all the way down. And that's gonna give us a line we're gonna hang our 1/2-inch plywood to. So we have a sheet of pressure treated 1/2-inch plywood we cut in half. And we're gonna install that now. And we're gonna use pressure treat for the bottom just because it's so close to the ground. But we're gonna hang that now, and we're gonna nail it on with 2 3/8 nails that are ring shank. So let's do it. All right, so we're at the point of no return. It's time to house wrap the building, and we're gonna use this Tyvek. Just kidding, we're not gonna use Tyvek. That's what causes problems. Well, not causes problems, but Tyvek is like the lowest grade vapor barrier you can get, pretty much. I think there's Blockit. It's also another garbage brand by Kimberly-Clark. But what we're doing here is we're gonna use this self-adhered membrane to house wrap the building, and it's breathable. It's made by Benjamin Obdeck. It's the Hydro Gap SA, so it's self-adhered. It's gonna glue itself straight to the plywood. You know, I've never used it before, so I'm kind of a little skeptical about it, but I think it could be a good product. It seems to be nice. It's very durable, very sticky. It's nice. So we're just pulling the release liner now, and I snapped the line so we got a nice straight line, and I'm gonna strap another line up top. That way we have really straight lines, even though it's going behind the siding. But I put a couple cap nails just to hold it in place, but it obviously is sticking so well, I really don't need those. So what we're gonna do now is pull the rest of the release liner, stick it to the wall, and not use Tyvek. But I don't really know how to finish that detail down there, because it's like, you know, are they gonna put gravel, are they not? Who knows what's gonna happen, but the dirt's not going back, so that's good. And we're using a high quality vapor barrier that's permeable and breathable, And so it's supposed to have some kind of drainage material to like help, you know, let the water drain. How well does that actually work? I don't know. But it's better than what they had before. It's the best we could find in such short circumstances. So let's get this done. Let's wrap the house and let's get the siding on. Here we're just wrapping up the last pieces of siding, but I will catch you guys in the next one. Until then, guys, over and out.